Just look at that. Our ham potato cheese casserole. You just layer the ham and the potatoes with a little bit of cheese. And what a perfect dinner. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today, ham, potato, we got an onion, we got some cheese, we're making a casserole. All you do is layer the ham, the potatoes, the cheese sauce, and you've got a meal on the table. Come on, let's do it. On here, garlic, mince, big or small as you like, and obviously if you don't want garlic, don't use it. So it's a very quick prep because we're using packet ham. I've got this packet ham here, which I've actually just chucked in boiling water to get the slime off and then just taking it out and put it in here. It's up to you whether you do that. You know, it's on my channel, I've shown you before. I prefer it. It has slime on the packet ham. Little pan full of boiling water, you dunk it in, you take it out, you've got no slime on your ham. You don't cook it. Right, now we're after a little bit of flavour in here. Put your oven on 180. We're after a little bit of flavour in here, so what we're going to do is dice some onion and we're going to just fry it off quickly with some butter. And that's going to go inside our casserole, because if not, you're just putting in onion. Or you're not putting any onion in. It depends on what you want to do. In there. Right, potatoes. Peeled already, look. And what we're going to do is slice. Now you want to slice them about 3 millimeters thick. You can only do that if you're going to go like this, or if you have a mandolin. Other than that, slice your potatoes. That's our prep, and we've got some cheese. So we want to bring in a pan, a small one. So we want to go in there with a little bit of butter, little flame on. And we're just going to cook those onions lightly. In there, onions. Light season, a little bit of salt. Now for this one, it really doesn't matter if you put a bit of colour on here. Even if you caramelise them. That's flavour inside the casserole. That's the only way you're going to get the flavour in. If not, it's going to be raw onion if you chuck raw onion in. That's looking okay for me. We've got a little bit of tinge. We're not browning them. Right, off the heat. Different pan. Butter. Yeah, in there. Right, we're going to make a batch of them. I'll turn it into a mornay, our cheese sauce. So we're going to have a little flame on in there. However, what we're going to do is put the garlic in first. And then what we need to do is put some salt and pepper on these potatoes. Okay, we want a little bit of garlic in there. We're going to flavour this up right from the start. A nice little one of those on there. Now it's only about 30 seconds on the garlic, just to put some garlic flavour in. In there, some flour. Nice little stir in. Little cook off the rawness on that flour. In there with a bit of salt. In there with a bit of black pepper. Dry thyme. Oregano. There's our flavourings. Tablespoon of Dijon mustard in there with our milk. Whisk it in. It's going to start to thicken, so I've swapped out to a wooden spoon. So when it starts to thicken, we're going to chuck in some cheese. That's going to make it a Mornay sauce. Now when we're cooking this casserole, the fluid from the potatoes is going to put enough fluid in here. There we go, we got a thickness coming on there, look. That is fabulous. Right, we want this as a cheese sauce, so in there with some cheese, in there with a little bit of mozzarella, stir it in. You can turn off the flame now, actually. We don't need the flame, that's going to melt that in there. So now we've got a fabulous cheese sauce, a Mornay. There you go. Right, let's start putting this thing together. Come on. Now before we put this together, what we want to do is a little bit of salt in there on those potatoes, and you can put pepper on as well. So we'll put some pepper in, because what happens is everybody puts potatoes and things in a casserole and don't season them, you know, and it cooks and the inside is bland as heck with the potatoes. So if we put a little bit of seasoning on now, and we haven't put much on, look, as you can see, it's going to cook with some flavour inside. Okay, it's very quick to come together. Grab yourself a tray that it's going to sit on, because it can bubble over, as you well know on this channel. Now what you want to be doing is greasing out the bottom of this with a little bit of butter in there. Okay, and then we want to be going in there with some potatoes. A layer of potatoes on there. They're going to cook on that butter at the bottom. We're using all the small bits up in the bottom there, and then we'll layer up from there. Take some of those onions in there. Now it doesn't matter how you do this, you layer it up whichever way you want, you know. So we want to be taking some of our ham in there. Got a little bit of that cheese sauce in there. You can do a sneaky one. In there, a little bit of cheese, we don't go crazy. Potatoes. Now start to layer them up now. When we slice, we want to get a nice slice of potato coming out. Nice one of those. A few onions, come on. Our flavour build up in here. Ham. Okay, some more of that cheese sauce on there. A little sneaky bit of cheese in there. Not much this time. Well, we didn't use much last time. We've got a few of those onions in there as well. Look, let's have those in. So we want the layer up again, come on. I think that's about got it. Now, over there with some cheese sauce. but I actually want to keep some this time. I actually want to keep some cheese sauce. I'm going to water it down a bit more with a bit more milk, warm it up so it's pourable. Now, a little trick with these potatoes as well, you could actually brush those with melted butter. However, it's going to be under the cheese sauce, so it's up to you. There we go. Looking cool. Now we want a bit more cheese on there, don't we? Come on. Now we're going to cover this with foil and we're going to bake it 40 minutes, somewhere around about there. And then we're going to whip the foil off and bake it for about another 15-20. On there, a nice little sprinkling of Parmesan. Now you can rub oil all over your foil and all the rest of it so it doesn't stick. That's up to you. Loosely tint. That's loose enough, look, that seems to be sitting above there. In the oven, 40 minutes. Okay, when you've had your time, off it comes. Oh, look at that bubbling goodness. Back in the oven. Okay, when you've had your time, oh, look at that. Come on there. It smells absolutely incredible. Right, we're going to have to give it 10 minutes to cool down. On there, a little bit of parsley, a little bit of greenery. So I think we need to be marking it out. And I think you have to decide, is it 6 portions or is it 4 portions? Oh yeah. Oh, that's hot. Come on. Look at that. And if you've kept any of that extra sauce on there, just look at that. Our ham potato cheese casserole. You just layer the ham and the potatoes with a little bit of cheese. And what a perfect dinner. There you go, not much of an easier cook than that, to be honest. Our layers of potato, ham in there, look. Oh, and that cheesy top, come on. What's not to like? Oh, fabulous. That is absolutely incredible. We've got that extra cheesy sauce. And you know, we've got a little slight crunch in the potatoes. They're not completely mushy. That is absolutely superb. There you go, there's a fabulous dish to share with your friends. Nice and straightforward, packet ham, potatoes, bit of cheese sauce, laid together, shoved in the oven, out on the table. That is a fabulous meal. If you like what we're doing, big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. Catch you in the next video.